Okay, everyone, we are going to get started. Um, Good morning and welcome to Florida AgrAbility's final quarterly webinar of the year, From Service to Soil, Supporting Veterans with Disabilities in Agriculture. Florida AgrAbility is a partnership between the University of Florida IFAS Extension and the Center for Independent Living of North Florida. AgrAbility is a program sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture that aids farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers and farm family members living with a disability. The main objective of Florida AgrAbility Project is to assist farmers in overcoming barriers caused by disabilities and health conditions to continue farming. Let's go ahead and dive in. I would like to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Keith Granera. Please tell me if I said that wrong.
You're fine. Keith
Okay.
Gerena.
He is a proud Marine Corps veteran and the manager of Veterans Employment Training Services at Veterans Florida. After serving 17 years in the Marines, Keith brings practical experience and a no-nonsense approach to helping veterans transition into civilian careers, especially in agriculture. Growing up on a family farm in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Keith learned the value of hard work through hands-on experience, raising livestock, growing fruits and vegetables, and figuring things out through trial and error. His background is rooted in organic farming, sustainable practices, and working with the land and animals day in and day out. Now, Keith uses that real world, get your hands dirty experience to guide veterans into a variety of pathways, including careers in agriculture, SkillBridge internships, and entrepreneur cohorts. He focuses on helping veterans build practical skills, connect with industry professionals, and turn their work ethic into new opportunities. Through the Veterans Florida Agriculture Program, he works to create pathways, foster mentorship, and help veterans succeed in their next chapter. Thank you again, Keith, for being here today. This is going to be a question and answer format. So, Keith, let's dive in. Can you start by sharing a bit about Veterans Florida along with your personal journey from serving in the Marine Corps to working with Veterans Florida?
Absolutely. So, Veterans Florida, so we're a nonprofit created by the state of Florida with a clear mission to help veterans transition successfully into civilian life. And what we do is we connect veterans with SkillBridge, career opportunities, entrepreneurship, resources, and something I'm especially passionate about, and that's agriculture training programs. And through partnerships like with the University of Florida, employers, and farms across the state, Veterans Florida helps veterans build meaningful second careers. And what that means is starting their own business, working in high demand industry, or getting their hands back in the soil. But it's more about than just finding a job, right? It's about helping veterans find purpose, community, fulfillment after service. And that mission is very personal to me. Um, my journey, it's really been a series of chapters centered around service. I started out in the Marines where I learned traits that shaped my entire life, from discipline, integrity, teamwork, and perseverance, which I know a lot of veterans have right now. It doesn't matter what branch of service you're from. Those years taught me how to lead, how to adapt, and how to stay focused, no matter what situation. After the time in my Marines, I continued serving in a different way as a U.S. State Department contractor, providing high threat security and protecting dignitaries in some of the world's most dangerous locations. Yeah, they were unpredictable environments, and that experience tested everything I learned. Staying calm under pressure, making quick decisions, and always putting the mission and my team first. When I eventually transitioned out of the line of work, I knew I wanted to use those skills to give back, and especially my fellow veterans, is navigating the sometimes overwhelming transition. When we're trying to search for that job and we can't find anything. So that military civilian life is really important. Um, that led me to become a state employee. Through a lot of hard work and determination, I applied and I was actually able to land a job in Broward County. And what I did there was I was a local veterans employment representative, helping veterans with meaningful careers and connect them with employers who truly value their service and skills. And believe it or not, that role opened the door to where I am today. Working with Veterans Florida now get to help veterans not just find jobs, but rediscover their purpose, whether that's through entrepreneurship, skilled trades, or agriculture. It's incredibly rewarding to help others realize that their mission doesn't end with when they take off their uniform or their cover, as we call it in the Marine Corps. It just evolves.
Thank you so much. How do you think your experience growing up on a farm in Puerto Rico has shaped your passion for agriculture today?
Yeah, so growing up in a country setting had a huge impact on the person I've become. My family worked hard, sun up, sundown, trending crops, taking care of the animals, and as a kid, that was just like normal life. But looking back, those years taught me patience, humility, and the importance of hard work. Farming is honest work, I believe. And you learn quickly, you don't control everything, the weather, the soil, all that. But you show up every day and do your part. That mindset has guided me like in every career I've had, from the Marines to high threat security. And when I reconnected with agriculture later in life and through Veterans Florida, it really felt like coming home. Like, like, all right, I found my path again. So our Ag Vets program gives veterans a chance to find that same grounding, to get their hands back in the dirt and grow something real, and to build a new mission for themselves and their families. There's something special about seeing a veteran who's struggling find peace and purpose again through working the land, and
Yeah.
it's powerful. And it's exactly why I'm so passionate about what we do.
Yeah, you're totally right. The connection to the land is so therapeutic. What lessons from the military have helped you most in your civilian career and in the agriculture industry?
Great question. So that gave, the military gives every veteran like a little toolkit, and in that toolkit, we could upgrade them, little by little. And the first big lesson is that I took was adaptability. In the Marines, you learn that no plan survives first contact. You have to be flexible, think on your feet, and adjust when things change. Farming is exactly the same. The second, obviously, is leadership and teamwork. Military teaches you success. It's never about you and about the people around you and how well you work together toward a shared mission and so forth. In agriculture, teamwork is everything. You have to, work together side by side, hand in hand. And finally, the resilience, the ability to push through challenges, keep your head up, keep moving forward, whether it's a tough deployment or a tough growing season, that, it gets you through it. All these lessons I've shaped how I live and how I help others today, just keep pushing forward. When I work with veterans in agriculture, it reminds me, everything that they learned in uniform still applies, and everything that I learned as well applies. The mission just looks different now, and basically instead of defending freedom overseas, if you will, they're helping feed their communities, grow businesses, build sustainable futures right here at home.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful endeavor. And I know that veterans in general face challenges when reintegrating into civilian life. So I want to focus the next set of questions on challenges that veterans with disabilities face, because that's just another level. In your work, what are some of the most common challenges veterans with disabilities do face when transitioning into civilian life, and especially maybe into agricultural life?
Right, and that's a really great question, and that's when it really hits home, for a lot of veterans we work with, especially in my past. Transitioning out of the military is really tough for everybody. People may see it easy, but it's really not. But for veterans with disabilities, it can be especially challenging. One of the biggest hurdles is the loss of identity and purpose. Um, In the military, you're part of a team, right? With a clear mission every single day. You're doing it over and over. You know exactly what to do. You know what's depending on you. When that chapter ends, especially if an injury or disability forces that change, well, many veterans struggle to figure out who they are outside that uniform. Well, then there are fiscal and logistical challenges, right? For some veterans, mobility issues, chronic pain. I can't stand long enough. I got to sit down, so forth. There's a lot of boundaries or barriers to these things, especially in agriculture. And that can be really discouraging because a lot of veterans are drawn to hands on work and miss that sense of fiscal contribution, if you will. There's also that mental emotional side. Conditions like, PTSD, anxiety, traumatic brain injury can make the transition even more complex, right? Suddenly, they're not surrounded by their brothers and sisters in arms anymore. They're out, they're by themselves now, and that support network is gone. Um, Isolation can set in so fast, and that's why there's a lot of different programs out there, and I hate to talk about it, but you know you got suicidal tendencies and so forth. So that we need that support, that circle. Finally, there's just that lack of awareness of opportunities. Many veterans don't realize there are programs out there designed specifically to help them adapt their skills, or that agriculture can be accessible even even with their disability. Um, they might think farming requires perfect health, when in reality, there are so many tools, technologies, and adaptive methods that make it possible, like right here, AgrAbility.
Thanks. That leads perfectly into my next question for you. Um, with these challenges, whether they're mental, emotional, or even logistical, how can they be addressed through programs like Veterans Florida and Florida AgrAbility?
So that's exactly where programs like Veterans Florida and Florida AgrAbility make such a big difference. So here, Veterans Florida, we focus on helping veterans build like new skills, connect with mentors, and discover careers that give them a renewed sense of purpose. Our agriculture program, or our Ag Vets program, partners with University of Florida, and soon we're going to be tapping into something else. I'll tell you this more in upcoming questions. So, but also our guidance of community support, and so important during that transition. Florida AgrAbility is an incredible partner. I believe, good referral because they specialize in helping farmers and ranchers with disabilities continue working safely and efficiency. And, and but also they provide adaptive equipment. And I know Lindsay, she likes to go out and do, outreaches and make sure that all that gets done with modified tools, individualized support to make sure veterans with disabilities, they don't limit their ability to thrive in agriculture. And I think that's the most important thing. Um, yeah, so AgrAbility is one of the key players in that.
Thank you. Yes, I do know like one of our missions is so important to make sure that we make agriculture accessible to everyone. And assistive technology is one of those pieces of the puzzle that's so important, whether you're a veteran or a civilian with a disability. Making sure that you're able to farm is exactly what we work to do at Florida AgrAbility. Thanks for bringing that up, Keith. What are some misconceptions that people have about veterans with disabilities entering the workforce or into agricultural careers? Because there are a ton of misconceptions regarding disabilities in general, and a focus on entering back into the workforce and agriculture careers is really important.
Yes, and that's another important one. And unfortunately, there are still a lot of misconceptions out there. The biggest one is the idea that disability means a limitation. And that a veteran with an injury or service-connected condition can't be productive or independent. But what I've seen time and time again is complete opposite. Veterans are some of the most resilient, adaptable people out there. They already learned how to overcome that adversity, give them the right tools and support, and they'll find a way to get the job done, often more efficiently than anyone else. I'm biased, yes. Another misconception is that agriculture is too physical for someone with a disability. People picture long days of manual labor, and yeah, farming is hard work, but technology has changed everything, from hydroponics to aquaponics to automated irrigation, mechanized equipment. There's so many ways agriculture is accessible to everyone now. I mean, even AI has come to play. And finally, I think people sometimes underestimate the emotional strength veterans bring. Many have endured incredible challenges, physical, mentally, and that experience gives them a level of determination and perspective that it's really invaluable in a farming, like, or any business. So what we try to show through programs like Veterans Florida and Florida AgrAbility is that veterans with disabilities are not defined by their limitations. They're defined by the ability to adapt, overcome, and keep moving. Agriculture gives that space to do exactly that healing process or to build and continue serving their communities in a new way. And I think it's really important for a veteran to feel, like he's part of something again.
You're absolutely right. Community and relationships are everything. Even if you weren't in the military, having that community, especially a farmer, and a veteran farmer, it's so important to have that community. And you said two things that really resonated with me that I hear a lot in agriculture. You have to be adaptable and you have to have determination in order to be able to be a farmer because every day is different. The weather is different. We are freezing right now in Florida. But you have to be able to anticipate. And even if you can't anticipate those things, you have to be able to pivot quickly. And so agriculture and being a veteran, honestly, to me now, the more that I hear you talk about it, they just go hand in hand. So why wouldn't you come back and be a farmer? Um, so, can you tell us more about Veterans Florida, the agriculture program with Veterans Florida? What does it offer, and how can veterans with disabilities benefit from it?
Absolutely. So, Veterans Florida AgVets program is one of the flagship initiatives, and honestly, it's something I'm really extremely proud of. We designed the program to give veterans, whether they have farming experience or not, a hands-on introduction to the real world of agriculture. It's more than just a classroom learning. Participants train directly with the university research farms, agriculture operations, and industry experts across the state of Florida. Um, they get exposure in all areas of modern agriculture, from crop to livestock management to hydroponics, sustainable farming, and even agribusiness operations. What makes it really special is that it connects veterans to both the land and community that shares their values: hard work, responsibility, and mission driven purpose. For veterans with disabilities, this program could be life changing. We work closely with, you all. I can refer them to you all, and you get them the things that they need, which helps make every training site a task that's accessible and adaptive. That means using like modified equipment that you can, get for them, adaptive tools, adjusted techniques so that every participant, regardless of physical ability, can fully participate. The program gives veterans a clear pathway. They gain the knowledge, they gain confidence, and many of them go on and start their own operations, find fulfilling careers in Florida's ag industry, or it's also a second mission. I mean, one rooted in growth and healing and self-reliance. And I'm going to stress this again. It actually heals the individual veteran. So
Thank you, Keith. Can you explain what the SkillBridge internships are and how they create real world opportunities?
Yeah, so SkillBridge, DoD SkillBridge program is one of the best opportunities available to service members preparing to transition out of the military. And the way it works is during the last 180 days of their service, their eligible active duty members can intern with civilian employers while receiving their military pay and benefits. That means they get valuable real world experience before they even leave the service. And employers get a chance to work with highly trained, motivated professionals. So, it's like a give and take. It's almost like a two-way interview, if you will. At Veterans Florida, we partner with the SkillBridge program to connect service members to internships that align with their interests, including agriculture, advanced manufacturing, aviation, and entrepreneurship. And for those interested in agriculture, SkillBridge can really place them directly on certain areas, within University of Florida, with the entire state of Florida. Agribusiness across Florida as well. We're looking into those. There are possibilities into that. It's literally a win-win. Veterans get to explore the field, gain skills that translate directly to civilian employment, while employers gain a pipeline of talented, disciplined workers. Um, and for veterans with disabilities, well, SkillBridge provides a supportive environment where they can test out roles, explore adaptive tools, build confidence before fully transitioning to civilian life. It helps make that what's next question a lot less intimidating, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for some veterans who may not have all the training and the degrees and things that they would need to enter that career field, some of the career fields, what kinds of trainings or certificate programs are available for veterans interested in ag? And are they accessible to those with disabilities?
And that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. These programs are designed to be accessible and inclusive for all veterans, including those with disabilities. Through Veterans Florida, in partnership with the state of Florida, of University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agriculture Sciences, I know it's a long word, we provide a variety of hands-on agriculture training opportunities across the state. These programs give veterans the chance to learn directly on working farms, like working sites, research education centers, gaining real experience in like sustainable agriculture, crop livestock management, hydroponics, controlled environment agriculture, agribusiness, operations, financial management. And each training site emphasizes practical learning and not just theory. So they're getting hands-on. So veterans walk away with the skills, confidence to step right into agriculture careers or even start their own homestead. And I'll share a little teaser here. So we're currently developing an exciting new initiative called AgCerts. This will expand on our existing Ag Vets training program, allowing veterans to earn industry recognized agriculture certifications through if you ever heard of it, write it down. Agriculture Education Services like Technology, AEST.ag, and also other approved certifying bodies. So now remember, AgCerts hasn't been rolled out yet, but once it is live, I'll give veterans another powerful pathway to strengthen their credentials, boost employability, and demonstrate their expertise in Florida's growing agriculture industry.
Hey,
Yeah, and it's an exciting.
Keith, can you go ahead and repeat that again? I'm sorry. This is Darren in Indiana. We met down at the FEC.
All right, you're talking about the organization that's doing the certifications?
Yes, the one you were just talking about.
Yes, sir. So Agriculture Education Services and Technology, AEST.ag. And there they'll have a list and all that. We could talk after the Q&A towards the end. They'll have open questions if you want, Derek.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet. And then, it's really an exciting next step for Veterans Florida and the state of Florida, helping us continue our mission and make this best place in the country for veterans and build new careers and new lives in the agriculture industry. So yeah, in a nutshell, we're pushing to be number one, a tip of the spear.
That's great to hear. AEST is a wonderful program, and they do a great job at making sure that the next generation, and now it sounds like even veterans, have the knowledge and skills to be able to just step right into the agricultural world, which is so amazing. Because the average age of a farmer is between like 56 and 60, depending on who you talk to.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yeah, so making sure the next generation of farmers is ready and able and even interested, our like upcoming generation needs to be interested in farming. It's so important. So with that, we don't all come from a farm family. So are there any entrepreneurship opportunities or support available for veterans looking to start their own ag-related businesses?
Yes, and this is one of the most exciting parts of Veterans Florida, what we offer. Many veterans have the entrepreneur spirit, right? They're natural leaders, problem solvers, risk takers, and so forth. So, our Veterans Florida Entrepreneurship Program is designed to help them take those skills and turn their ideas into reality, sustainable businesses, period. So what we offer is, cohorts, workshops, if you will, that cover everything from business planning and marketing to financing, licensing, managing, and operations. Um, so these participants, literally, what they'll do is they'll get paired with experienced mentors in the industries, in business, and many of whom are the veteran business owners themselves. Um, they'll guide them through it step by step, literally A to Z. And for veterans who want to start agriculture based business, we help them connect to resources that fit their goals. So if anybody's looking to do entrepreneurship, yes, we have it. We'll put you through it. We'll guide you through the entire process, and it's all at no cost to the veteran. Um, and there's just so many benefits that Veterans Florida Entrepreneurship Program has. So if you have any questions after this, please ask me and we'll fill it in.
Great. So we talked a little bit about community and how important it is to have community, especially in the agriculture industry, being able to call your neighbor farmer and say, "Hey, I have this pest on my plants. Do you have the same pest and how are you treating it?" So important. So, with that being said, what partnerships or networks are in place to help veterans with disabilities find mentorship and peer support in agriculture? You just talked a little bit about mentorship, but what about that peer support?
So that's a really important piece of the puzzle because no one succeeds alone, right? Especially when transitioning into a new career like agriculture. Through Veterans Florida, we've created and built strong partnerships across the state to create a sense of community mentorship for veterans. And like all the ag vets, alumni, as I call them, they all can communicate with each other. But one of the biggest partners that we have is obviously University of Florida's IFAS Extension Network, which connects veterans and local agriculture experts, farm mentors, training programs. Um, and that means veterans they're not learning just from a book. They're learning from people who are living and breathing agriculture every day. Um, we also collaborate with you guys, AgrAbility. I mean, you guys support the farmers and ranchers with disabilities. You connect them with peer networks, adaptive resources, and help veterans learn from others who face similar challenges. I think that's really important. You know, on top of that, Veterans Florida has its own growing alumni network, which I was talking about, and all these individuals talk amongst each other. A good portion of our leads that come here are from word of mouth, are from other individuals that have come through us. And at the end of the day, what we're building is a support ecosystem, one where no veteran feels like they have to take the next step alone.
You said support ecosystem, and that is such a wonderful term for what you're talking about in the network. I think that we're all trying to build around individuals with disability in agriculture. So I really appreciate that. Can you tell me what resources should veterans know when it comes to financial aid, education, or assistive technology? We've talked a little bit about education. You touched on that certification and things like that, but if you have anything to add, please feel free.
Absolutely. So all veterans in Florida have access to some really helpful resources. And one of the main resources here in the state of Florida is the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, or FDVA, that a lot of veterans know of. And they provide guidance on the GI Bill, benefits, state tuition waivers, approved training programs, helping veterans make the most of the education, career opportunities that are available to them. The FDA also publishes this Veterans Benefits Guide. It has everything in there from education, training, entrepreneurship, even entry into the agriculture side. We're in there. It's a great starting point for veterans that I think it's really important. And it's the one of the things that I think everybody should Google and find it themselves. When you Google it, FTVA, the training guide should be in there. You click on it and it should download.
Amazing. I was able to find those very quickly and I dropped them in the chat. So if you are interested, be sure to save those links that I dropped in there. As we move into kind of a closing here, I'd love to hear your final advice and any final thoughts. So, what advice would you give to a veteran with a disability who's interested in getting started in agriculture but isn't sure where to start?
Right. So when it comes to employers, right, a lot of them don't know about what to expect or what they're going to get. And at the federal level, employers who hire veterans, particularly those with service-connected disabilities, may qualify for the tax opportunity tax credit. It's a work opportunity tax credit. So this literally provides an employer up to $9,600 of tax credit, depending on that individual veteran's like disabilities or whatnot. So with that said, the state of Florida also supports veteran employment through various workforce and business incentive programs. And employers who partner with Veterans Florida can gain access to veteran talent pipelines, SkillBridge internships, and training reimbursements that offset that cost of onboarding and upskilling new hires. Um, these programs that I'm talking about, they not only make it more cost effective to hire veterans, but they also help employers tap into the one of the most skilled and disciplined workforces out there. Um, and for veterans with disabilities who are starting their own ag business, well, we help connect to the state and federal resources like AgrAbility or USDA, Farm Service Agency, loan programs, and so forth, which often are favorable terms for veterans and beginning farmers. And there's a big takeaway to all this. Hiring veterans, especially those with disabilities, isn't just the right thing to do. It's a smart business. You're getting dedicated, capable individuals that there are real financial and workforce incentives that make it a win-win for everyone involved. So, if I was an employer, all my guys would be veterans, disabled at that. So, yeah,
That's
I hope I answered your question.
You did. That was a great plug. For sure. Um, can you share maybe a specific success story or an example of a veteran who has found purpose or even a new beginning through agriculture?
Yes. So we had a veteran, and right now I'm having an issue remembering his name, but he went through our ag vets program. He actually finished the program and got hired out with the University of Florida at the Gulf Coast Research and Education Center. So he is one of their farm managers, working there consistently right now, and he's doing really well. Loves it, Um, and we've had him over on our Veterans Expo. He came down and he was loving it. He was ecstatic to be a part of the Veterans Expo that we had. So yeah, I'd say that was a really interesting and great a success story because he was one individual that needed to get back into the field, needed to be part of something again, needed to explore his options. And the way that a lot of us veterans explore that is, we don't want to be congested amongst so many supervisors telling us what to do. A lot of us want to be left alone, and we're best to do something like that if it's not in agriculture. I mean, you're out there for hours and nobody's on you. That is the most perfect place to be. So yeah, I think that was the best thing for him, and he's really happy. And it's unfortunate that I cannot recall his name right now, but yeah, it'll come up here shortly.
That's okay. It gives him a little bit of anonymity. So thank you for sharing all of that. How do you think attendees in today's session, whether they are veterans themselves or organizations wanting to support this mission, how can they get involved?
So the first step is connecting with us, Veterans Florida, and see what training or internship program fit your goals. That is the first thing for veterans. See what really fits them. They're going to contact us. They're going to apply on our website. They'll get an appointment to speak with us, and then we'll go from there. We'll mutually find what's a good fit for them. So with like organizations, they can partner with us, so like programs like AgVets. If you're an employer listening to the webinar, contact us, and we will sit down and see if you're the right fit for us. Florida AgrAbility as well, to provide mentorship, resources, or hands-on training opportunities. There's a real need for community involvement, I would say, whether that's offering a veteran a mentorship role or just helping with adaptive equipment. Everyone could play a part in building pathways for veterans, and I think agriculture is very unique, yet it's community based. Everybody in agriculture knows everybody. If you're a farmer, Farmer Bob down the road. I mean, they're all interconnected. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah, I heard somebody say it's the largest, smallest community of people, the largest, smallest industry there is.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Keith, I want to tell you thank you so much. So I also want to tell everybody thank you so much for your attention. Before we ask Keith your questions, we would love it if you would answer the evaluation poll that Lindsay is going to launch on your screen. We'll give you about 2 minutes to complete the poll, and then we'll jump into your questions and comments for Keith. Again, we really appreciate it. And Keith, I really appreciate your insight. Everything you've said today has been extremely helpful and insightful.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, and then as you're finishing that evaluation poll as well, if you have any more questions, be sure to drop them in the chat because we have a few in here, but we have Keith captive. So if you have questions, now is absolutely the time to ask him. We'll give you just a few more minutes, or about a minute and 30 seconds to finish that poll. I always feel like I should play the Jeopardy music in this time period.
Also, I would like to add, I'm also available even after the webinar. If you want to add me on LinkedIn, you communicate with me that way, and I'm, more than open to answer any questions thereafter.
Thanks, Keith. Okay, team, you have about 1 more minute to finish that poll. 30 more seconds. All right, thank you so much for answering that poll. I really appreciate it. Our team really appreciates any feedback that we are given. So Keith, now we're going to jump into those questions. I'll read them aloud from the chat. Guys, if you come up with any more questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat as we're talking. From David, he asks, can you give some examples of farmers that have successfully started farming? Where do the majority of your veterans that want to farm live? These are several questions. So let's start with the first one. Can you give some examples of farmers that have successfully started farming? We heard one. Can you give us any more?
Sure. So nobody hears about honeybees, right? So we had a couple that ended up opening up a honeybee company, and they're doing very well. It started as a side gig. They went through the honeybee ag vets program with us. Soon after, they opened up, a little side gig, and it started growing, and they're doing very well right now, and in Central Florida. So the second question was, where do they normally go? Well, that everywhere. So Florida is really vast. It's huge, right? We got it from, the most northern western side of the Gulf of, Panhandle, all the way down to Homestead. So there, farmers are everywhere, and we're the biggest citrus state, right? Unfortunately, we're having little issues with citrus, for the past year. I want to say past 10 or 15 years, due to a little bug, but other than that, yeah, we're everywhere in Florida. And where do we have the majority? Wow, that would be a question that I would say Central Florida, like Ocala has a lot of horses and so forth. We have a lot of cattle, but all of Florida is farmable. It's unfortunate though, that we're losing a lot of the farms because of the different, aspects of citrus, the upkeep, the bugs and so forth. So, but other than that, our farm industry is still moving forward.
Yeah, so they live just all across Florida, which is great to hear. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
what are the most popular production practices and why do they grow or raise? And I think this is geared obviously toward veterans. What would you say you've seen the most with people wanting to get involved in?
Yeah, so a lot of it's a good mix when it comes to that. But if I would say generalize them, my veterans, as to what they want to do, is they want to grow crops. They want to grow vegetables, fruits, but it's a big mix. And I say that because I've heard it all from different veterans. I want to do cattle. I want to deal with aquaculture. Fish. For a layman, but it's everything. But if I have to choose, regular crops like vegetables and fruits.
Okay, great. Yeah, Florida's a great state for that. We do grow a lot of different types of crops.
Yes, we do.
We have a great climate for it. We have another question from Daryl. He asks how long does the Ag Vets program last for individuals?
Great question. So it's a 6 month long program, 40-hour work week. I'll break it down. Right now we're paying, $17.50 an hour. It's a student stipend. Um, and yeah, once they finish a 6 month training, They get their little certificate from us, and we take it from there. If they are looking for a job or career, we'll assist them in finding that career. But I want to say a good portion of my veterans that go through always end up working within University of Florida.
Mm. That's not a bad thing. That's also a good plug for us. Um,
Yeah,
I see a comment from Chris. Chris, I would encourage you to reach out to Keith. I'll make sure to copy your information and get that to him as well after this is over. Um, I'm going to move on to our next question from David. Are there specific programs developed for the ag vet track?
I'm
Ag
unsure about
veterinary. Yeah.
like what do you mean? I'm kind of unsure about the question. Like if there's any other thing that's pending, we have the ag certs. Is that what he means?
Think, and if David, if you want to come off mute and clarify, but I think he's asking if there's any program specifically for an veterinarian track.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if I can jump in. So Keith, thank you so much for your presentation. This has been highly informative and I truly want to work with you. So I work for the University of Florida. I'm the state coordinator for the small farms team. And so we help small farmers all throughout the state. But the question that I had, and I'll connect with you after this presentation is,
Please
so
do.
during those 6 months, what do the vets actually do? Like, what do you like? Do you have set programs? Do you have people that teach them specific things on a set time frame within that 6 months? But like, what can a vet expect to get over the course of the 6 month time frame? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dave, for the clarification. So each individual research education center has a certain niche or specialty, if you will. And depending on where, it's all based on location. So if I have a veteran that lives in Fort Lauderdale, let's just assume that, right? Just for this scenario, they live in Fort Lauderdale, but they want to work on cattle, right? Well, I only have a few spots, and it all depends on if that veteran that lives in Fort Lauderdale has a place to stay, because I have obviously the Range Cattle Research Education Center, right? It's in Ona, Florida. Are they willing to drive all the way over there? So those are questions that me and the candidates sit down and kind of find out where they can go and what they can do. So sometimes it does change on what their mindset is. Maybe they were dead set on cattle, but they really want to learn agriculture. So agriculture, as we all know, it's everything. It isn't just cattle. So it's really great, even if you can't make it to your specialty on what you really want to do, to learn agriculture as a whole in general, and then take from that and use those tools that you just learned and take them into the cattle side. I think that's really beneficial. And that's what we do. We kind of sit down, counsel them, and find out where they can actually establish themselves in.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Our next question is from Daryl. Is there a streamlined program for individuals who have had a lot of ag experience prior to enlistment?
So is there a streamline? What was it again?
Is there a streamlined program for individuals who have had a lot of ag experience prior to enlistment?
So prior to enlistment
In the
in the
military.
in the military, wow. Prior to that, no, not necessarily. I hope I'm answering your question correctly. So we get individuals that don't have any ag experience whatsoever. They just want to learn about ag. So a lot of the individuals prior to the military don't have that experience, but end up either, you know, let's just assume this is a real scenario. So this scenario that I've experienced was, I had 3 Marines that never had any ag experience. They went to learn how to work with donkeys. Yeah. And what do we use those donkeys for? Well, carrying equipment in the mountains of Afghanistan. So they learn everything, how to tend to these animals, everything. If they had to give them antibiotics, they learned it all. They were the medic, they were everything for these animals. So yeah, prior no experience, they could end up having a lot of experience coming out. What programs would be in place? I don't see any, unless they're in a specialized unit that would like have things like that, like working with donkeys as pack mules and so forth. I
And
hope I answered your question.
I'm going to add to it just a little bit. So if someone came to you with ag experience, would you connect them maybe with the mentorship program, or like what would you do with someone who said, I've worked on a farm before, I was in the military, what do I do now?
Right. So, all right, you worked on a farm before, you were in the military. Well, you should start connecting with your community, your farmers in the local area. We don't we don't have a program, and I don't want to say we don't. I don't like that word. We do. If they contact me, trust me, this is where you started, and I'm going to get you going on the right path. I will connect you with every connection that I have to get you rolling, since you have all that experience and you want to learn and want to open up that farm. I have the right connections, like, I have the statewide coordinator from USDA. She'll get you in the right path to get a good loan or a grant to open up a farm. I have business connections with, extension, UFIFIS extensions, that they have individuals that are, really in tune with the business side of it, and they'll get them going in the right path. They're very veteran friendly. So it's all about network. If that answers your question. Program wise, we are the program. It's the network. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Our next question is from Susan. Do you show veterans around other farms, or do you have a working farm to experience different types of agriculture?
Beautiful. So our working farms per se are University of Florida's IFIS centers, the research education centers. Those are our working farms. They're research education centers, but they are actively, farming there, doing research and so forth. So, yes, our veterans can set up a time and date to visit, to explore before they even jump in the program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Keith. Our next question is from Brittany. You guys have amazing questions. Thank you so much for participating so heavily. Are there any ag program trainings for spouses as well?
Not yet. Not yet. No.
Great, thank you. This one is from BJ. He has a couple of different questions, but they all tie together, so bear with me. Are the ag certs through aest.org? I think it's aest.ag.
Dot
Or,
ag, yes.
yep. Or are those different cert programs? Are they state, federal certs, or who recognizes them? And are they free, or do you have to pay for them?
Great question. So my tease is at no cost to you.
Great. Okay, so that BJ, that program is still under wraps. They haven't quite launched it yet, so it is a tease, but definitely reach out to Keith for more information. And when they launch it, be on the lookout for it. And I'm sure Keith will let us know when they launch it so that we can also share that. With that being said, I'm going to redrop a couple of resources for you all in the chat. You can sign up for our newsletter to receive updates. And if Keith shares anything of note like that, we will be sure to share it in our newsletter. We are running out of time because you guys asked such amazing questions. So I want to say thank you again, Keith, for your candidness and Thank you so much to our audience for active participation. We have dropped a few resources in the chat below, so don't forget to go follow Florida AgrAbility and Veterans Florida on all social media and our website outlets to receive the latest news and updates from both organizations. Keith, thank you again so much for being open and sharing your expertise with our audience. We are so thankful for spreading the awareness and continually advocating for agriculture and to make it more accessible in this space.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I appreciate everything.
Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day.